everyone, once again I am Bertolano Henesian from BSED English 1A and I am here today to answer the following related to the Week 4 module in Linguistics 2. Without further ado, let's start with number 1. Introduce Charles F. Hockett, or more likely, who is Charles Hockett? So Charles Hockett was an American linguist and anthropologist who lived from 1916 to 2000. Hockett graduated from Yale in 1939 and later taught at both Cornell and Rice. Hockett made significant contribution to structural linguistics as well as the study of Native American, Chinese, and Fijian languages, wherein his work focused mainly on detailed linguistic analysis, particularly morphology and phonology, and on the concept and tools that facilitated such as analysis. Where up until the 1950s, language was largely viewed as a social behavioral phenomenon. But along the process, Hackett was challenged in this belief by Noam Chomsky, who argued that language is biologically based and innate, as Chomsky believed that humans share a universal grammar that ties all languages together. Due to this, Hackett staunchly opposed this Chomskyan concept of the nature of language. However, Hackett is most famous for defining what he called the design features of language, which demonstrated his beliefs about the commonalities among human languages. Talking about what does this means though, the so-called design features of language. So for the next item, I am going to enumerate and explain the Hackett 16 design features of language. Hackett design features are a set of features that characterize human language and set it apart from animal communication, as they were defined by linguist Charles F. Hackett in the 1960s and called these characteristic the design features of language. But just you're aware guys, Hackett originally believed there to be 13 design features, while primate communication utilizes the first 9 features. The final 4 features, displacement, productivity, cultural transmission, and duality, are reserved for humans. But Hackett later added prevarication, reflexiveness, and learnability to the list as uniquely human characteristics, as he asserted that even the most basic human languages possess these 16 features. So here is the 16 design features of language. First, we have vocal, auditory channel. It refers to the idea that speaking or hearing is the mode human use for language. Next is broadcast transmission and directional reception. It is when human speak sounds are transmitted in all directions. However, listeners perceive the direction from which sounds are coming. Third is transitoriness. Also called repeat fading, transitoriness refers to the temporary quality of language, where sound waves quickly disappear once a speaker stops speaking. Fourth, we have interchangeability. It refers to the idea that humans can give and receive identical linguistic signals. Fifth, total feedback. In this design features of language, speakers of a language can hear their own speech and can control and modify what they are saying as they say it. And for six, communication. The purpose of linguistic signal is communication and not some other biological function. More likely, when humans speak or sign, it is generally intentional. 7. Semanticity. It is where specific sound signals are directly tied to certain meanings. 8. We have the arbitrariness. Spoken words are really nothing like the object they represent. So again, arbitrariness, spoken words are really nothing like the objects they represent. So for the ninth, we have discreteness. It is where linguistic representation can be broken down into small discrete units which combine with each other in rule-governed ways. Then, displacements. So, displacement refers to the idea that humans can talk about things that are not physically present or that do not ever exist, wherein speakers can talk about the past and future. And so for 11, we have the productivity. So productivity, it refers to the idea that language user can create and understand novel utterances. Where 12 or wherein the 12 is the traditional or cultural transmission. In this, the idea that while humans are born with innate language capabilities, language is learned after birth in a social setting. So for 13, we have duality of patterning. Meaningful messages are made up of distinct smaller meaningful units, words, and morpheme, which these themselves are made up of distinct smaller meaningful units, which we call the phonemes. And for the 14, we have the prevarication. In this design, features of language, prevarication simply means the ability to lie or deceive. And for 15, reflexiveness. So reflexiveness, humans can use language to talk about language. And for the last number or the last designs features of language, we have the learnability. So learnability means language is teachable and learnable. Again, 16 Hackett's design features of language, vocal, broadcast transmission and directional reception, transitoriness, interchangeability, total feedback, specialization, semanticity, arbitrariness, discreteness, displacement, productivity, traditional or cultural transmission, duality of patterning, prevarication, reflexiveness, and lastly, learnability. So that's all for today related to the week 4 module. Thank you.